C1. You are listening at FameTV.info. Thunder flashed past. It was a dark night with a torrential storm that Mujior knelt in front of the Hall of Waves, the blood dripping from his forehead continuously being washed by the rain until it gradually turned purple. The fingers that tightly gripped onto the jade started to tremble, and his consciousness gradually became blurred. Was she going to die? She forced herself to look at the Yangshin Palace opposite her, attempting to see the figure of a man through the dim cracks between the doors and windows. Unfortunately, there was nothing. The rain poured down on Mujior's face. She had already knelt here for 3 days, and only because Qin Yen spent the night in her hall 3 days ago, she originally thought that he had finally seen her doing well before, so she went to her bedroom. However, he did not expect that the beautiful dream would result in the fury of a man. He raised his hand and ordered the guards to behead all the palace maids and eunuchs in the Cloud Nest Hall. Seeing the massacre in front of her, the blood in her entire body instantly cooled down. Only then did she clearly realize that the man still hated her so much that he wanted to kill everyone who knew about what happened last night. The rain got heavier and heavier as it hit her back and head. She painfully curled up on the ground. The corner of her mouth twitched as she gently placed the jade pendant on her chest while holding it tightly in her hand. This is good too, dying may be the best way out. When his personal eunuch saw Mujior fall to the ground, his brows knitted slightly. He walked into the Yangshin Palace and lightly reminded, "Your Majesty, I'm afraid Miss Mu won't be able to hold on much longer." She asked for it. Qin Yen did not even raise his head. The brush in his hands that was used to mark the imperial report snapped in response, and his face turned black as if it was real. This slut dared to scheme against me after harming Bright Moon. She should have a good memory that in these 5 years, only Mingyu remained in his heart. Even when she was currently lying in the ice coffin he had never changed his mind. How could something like this have nothing to do with this woman? Since she dared to do such a thing, she should know what the consequences would be. Wei Liang naturally did not care about Mujior's life or death, but this woman was still important to the emperor. If anything really happened, the emperor would blame him, so he could only remind him again, "Your Majesty, it's about time." Qin Yan's sharp gaze fell on the lady outside the hall, and after a moment he sneered, "Drag her in." He had yet to take revenge for Bright Moon, so how could he let her die so easily? Hearing his orders, Wei Liang immediately turned around and sent people to bring Mujior in. Some of the torn clothes stuck tightly to his body, causing Mujior's body to feel extremely hot from the cold energy, and a trace of sickly red surfaced on his pale white face. As Qin Yen watched the woman quietly and gently lie on the ground, he suddenly remembered his lover who was still suffering inside the ice coffin. A flash of hatred overflowed into the heavens as he said, "Wake her up." A maid stepped forward obediently and slapped Mujior ruthlessly across the face. The woman's delicate mouth was instantly torn by a fingernail, and traces of blood seeped out. Suddenly, Mujior saw that godlike man walking towards her, as if he was in a dream. Qin Yen. She looked at the bright yellow clothes in front of her, trembling as she reached out her hand to touch it. Before his hand could touch the corner of the man's clothes, it was opened by him in disgust. Red marks instantly appeared on the white back of his hand. "Don't dirty my palace." Mujior was weak to begin with, the man's casual move had knocked her down, and the bruise on her neck was revealed. Qin Yan's cold eyes landed on the scar. He saw the absurdity of last night and immediately felt nauseous, his entire body feeling uneasy. "Since you like being drugged so much, then you have to experience it yourself." Mujior endured the pain and looked at Qin Yen, but he could only see the hatred in his eyes. "It wasn't me, I didn't do it." She already knew that she wouldn't have any place in his heart, and never had such a thought ever occurred to her. Tears streamed down her face and Mujior could only shake his head repeatedly. However, Qin Yen simply would not listen to her explanation, and expressionlessly took the medicine bowl from Wei Ming's hands, and fiercely pinched both of her cheeks, pouring all of the medicine into her mouth. "Have a good experience. This poison is the poison that you gave Mingyue back then. We want to let you taste the pain of having your limbs pierced by this poison as well." "Oh, cough, cough." The black medicinal juice flowed down his throat, instantly becoming extremely hot. Mu Jiao'er felt that his arm was gradually losing its strength, and the pain from the pricking of the needle started to spread. Pain. When Qin Yan saw the woman curled up in pain, letting out a low growl, his heart suddenly felt much better. He left the woman who annoyed him and only coldly left a few words, "Don't let her die." "Yes." Wei Ming lowered his eyebrows and returned. After instructing the two maids who were looking at Mu Jiao'er in detail, he opened his umbrella and followed the emperor out. Mu Jiao'er looked at the gradually leaving bright yellow back view, and felt a big hole empty in his heart. The hole was abnormally cold, and as he powerlessly hugged himself, he tried to find a trace of warmth, but to no avail. The pain in her four limbs reminded this man of his ruthlessness. Finally, she let out a bitter laugh and allowed the pain to invade her consciousness, causing her to faint. Listen to the full novel at FameTV.info, direct link in the description.